All right, hello online learning students. Sorry for that distraction. So I'm here in my classroom. It's the end of the school day on Tuesday, August 18th, and I wanted to do a short presentation on the basics of diagramming sentences, just in case it was hard to understand or there was something that you didn't quite get the first time around. So I'm going to go through this presentation kind of quickly, that you'll be able to go back and watch this and just kind of clarify some things. So I'm gonna go ahead and present my screen. And I'm going to present the handout so from the handout, but the presentation that I used today in the classroom, sorry. So let me pull it up really quick. And then I can, get started, okay. So basically, we've been through the parts of speech. Hopefully that is pretty clear with you guys. If you didn't hear, we are having a quiz on Thursday at the end of class, just over the different parts of speech. It'll be basically taken from the example, the warm-up that we did in class. So if you didn't understand that, where you're given a sentence and you label the parts of speech, then just reach out to me. I am going to be posting by the end of today a review sheet, so what you need to know for this quiz, okay? All right, so we go ahead and get started with this presentation. And this will kind of help me, I think, see what you guys are seeing. So hopefully it's going to work and be great. Dun, dun. Oh gosh, okay, so let's do this. Let's do this. So I'm gonna try to present it and see if on the video it presents, because that would be great if it does, but I have a feeling it might not. So let me go ahead and see if I can present it. I wonder if I could do that. Oh, that's really cool. There's a present online, so we'll maybe try that at some point. So sorry, let me go ahead and get started, and then we can, hopefully go through this. All right, so diagramming basics. So you should have a handout that you can follow along and fill in some of these notes. So a diagram is a quick picture of how the parts of a sentence fit together. It comes from the Greek word diagraphein, which means to write through. So it's a way of visually spreading out the components of a sentence so that we can easily see and understand how it's working. The example I gave on this presentation on this slide is from one of my favorite books, The Hobbit. The quote is, "If more of us valued food and cheer and song above hoarded gold, it would be a merrier world." And so, as you can see in the picture, it just breaks apart the different ways that the words are working. And this is a really advanced example, but I wanted to start with something just beautiful, so don't freak out, but just for us to enjoy to look at. So let's go ahead and go through the diagramming basics. So what you always do first is you start with a horizontal line. So a diagram begins with a straight horizontal line. Excuse me. This is the main line for the main parts of the sentence. On the horizontal line, the simple subject is placed to the left of the vertical line and the verb to the right. So an example would be lions run. That's a sentence. Lions is our simple subject, so we place it to the left of the vertical line, and run is the verb, so it's placed on the right. Another example is birds are singing. So write the simple subject and verb on the line. Separate them with a vertical line, dun, dun, that crosses the baseline. So birds is our simple subject, are singing is our verb. So the birds on the left are singing on the right. Our vertical line does cross the baseline. So you should see how it kind of makes like a long T. The crossbars are really long T. Now, if we were to describe the subject, so going back to our first sentence, lions run, but we're going to describe those lions and they're going to be cowardly. So cowardly lions run. Cowardly describes lions. So write it on a diagonal line below the word it describes. Okay? So lions run, cowardly describes lions, who write it on a diagonal line below lions. If you're following along on the handout or just in your notebook, I would write out these examples. So lions run, then cowardly lions run, and just maybe label or write little notes to yourself so you can see, right, how it works. So subject always goes on the left, verb on the right. Any descriptors, so an adjective is going to go on a diagonal line off of the word that it modifies. So now if we were to describe the verb and we were to say that cowardly lions run fast. So fast is describing how they run. So write it on a diagonal line below the word it describes, just like we did before. So lions are cowardly, so the cowardly is diagonal line off of lions. They run, and because they run fast, and fast is modifying run, it's going to be a diagonal line off of run. What if there's a direct object? So what if those cowardly lions run races? Direct object always answers the question, what? So what do lions run? What does the subject do? Cowardly lions run races fast. You write the direct object after the verb. Draw a vertical separator which stops at the line. So if we notice, we're just building off of the same sentence. So cowardly lions run fast, and they run races fast. So our direct object is going on the other side of the verb, run, and separating it is a vertical line that only goes to that horizontal line. So see how it stops right there. Cowardly lions run races fast. Have you noticed? The vertical line that separates the subject from the verb crosses the baseline, and the vertical line that separates the verb from the direct object stops at the baseline. So you need to be able to just write those separately so that I know you know the difference between them. Okay, so our direct object is separated by the line that only goes to the baseline. Now, if we were to describe the direct object, we're going to do something similar from what we were doing earlier. So let's say that cowardly lions run relay races fast. Relay describes the races. So you write it on a diagonal line under races. So if you haven't picked up on it, our descriptors are always going to be diagonally coming off of the word that they describe, that they modify. Cowardly describes lions, fast describes run, relay describes races. Okay, so this is how we diagram adjectives or adverbs or articles, so any type of modifier. Now, what do we do if there's a prepositional phrase? Cowardly lions drink buckets of water. Cowardly lions drink buckets of water. What do lions drink buckets of? Of water. Describes the buckets, right? It's not buckets of juice or buckets of Coca-Cola, right? They drink buckets of water. So write it on a line under buckets. So cowardly is coming off of lions. Lions drink. Lions is our subject. Drink is our verb. Buckets is our direct object because they're drinking buckets. What do they drink? Drink buckets. Of water is modifying buckets. So notice that the preposition of is written on the diagonal line, and water is the noun on the horizontal line connected to of. Try a different prepositional phrase. So cowardly lions run relay races in forests. So if I asked you, what does in forests modify? What would you answer? So the question we're answering is, where do lions run races? Where? In forests. This is a really important line. So if I were you, I'd underline this, or I'd definitely write this line in my notebook. How, when, and where describe verbs. So prepositional phrases that tell us how, when, or where describe verbs. So you're going to write it on a line under run. So this should look familiar. Cowardly lions run relay races. And then our prepositional phrase in forest is, again, it's describing run because how, when, and where describe verbs. Okay? So now I went through some guided practice with the kids. So if I asked you to diagram monkeys fly, we always start with the horizontal line, then we do our vertical line. Monkeys is on the left because it's our subject, and fly is on the right because it's our verb. Okay, so this should be pretty straightforward. So go ahead and make sure you have this written in your notes on that handout or on a separate sheet of paper. Now, if I asked you to do the sentence, flying monkeys fly. So now we're going to describe those monkeys. Flying monkeys fly. The flying is describing the monkeys. So I'm going to do the same thing from before. I'm going to do monkeys fly, monkeys on the left, fly on the right. And flying is going to be a diagonal line coming off of monkeys, right? Because flying is describing those monkeys. Flying monkeys fly in Oz. So where do they fly? They fly in Oz. Remember what I just said. How, when, and where describe the verbs. So where do monkeys fly? In Oz is going to come out, off of fly. Remember the prepositional phrase. In, the preposition always goes on the diagonal, and then our noun, Oz, is always going to go on our horizontal line. So the first part of the sentence is the same. Flying, describing monkeys. Fly is our verb. In Oz is our prepositional phrase. Another example. We're exactly in Oz. These flying monkeys are going to fly in Western Oz. The Western modifies or describes Oz. So flying monkeys fly in Oz, and then Western is a descriptor coming off of Oz. So as you can see, we're just building upon our previous knowledge. We're building upon what we already know or knew. Practice another sentence. Dorothy sings. Dorothy is our subject. She's on the left. Sings is on the right. Dorothy sings songs. What does she sing? Dorothy sings songs. Songs is the direct object. It's what she is singing. So we do that line that just goes to the baseline, and then we pop songs on the other side. If it follows the verb, it goes after vertical separator. Dorothy sings. What does she sing? She sings songs. What songs does Dorothy sing? So we're building upon this. We put our vertical separator. She sings songs, and they're beautiful. The beautiful is describing songs. So we write it on a diagonal line under songs. Dorothy sings songs, and the songs are beautiful. So we have our diagonal line that's referring back to those songs. Have you noticed? Only subjects, verbs, objects go on the horizontal line. Words that describe them go below them on diagonal lines. So Dorothy is a subject. Clicks is a verb. Slippers is an object. Tired, together, her, and Ruby are all descriptors. They're all modifiers. Dorothy was tired. It's an adjective. Together is an adverb. It's how she clicks. And her and Ruby, one is a pronoun and one is an adjective that are both referring back to slippers. In English, I would read this sentence. Tired Dorothy clicks together her ruby slippers. Always put the modifier before the subject, verb, or object. Linking verbs. So this is kind of a different thing. Witches are green. So witches is going to be our subject. Are is not an action verb. It's a linking verb. It links to something else, right? In itself, witches aren't doing anything. It's not telling us anything. It's just are, right? So it's a state of being. So we do our subject. We do our verb, our linking verb in this case. And green is a subject complement. So what we do is we draw a backwards diagonal line between the are, the linking verb, and the subject complement green. Okay, so what follows a linking verb renames or describes the subject. Witches are green. It's describing witches. It is a complement, not a direct object. Remember, direct object has a vertical line that goes straight up and down. Subject complement has that horizontal line that's tilting back. A good way to remember, because the complement describes the subject, the dividing line tilts back towards the subject. So it's like green is trying to reach back towards witches because witches are green. Try another sentence. Glinda is a good witch. So Glinda is our subject, is our verb, and then witch is going to be our subject complement. Glenda renames witch. Witch is a predicate noun, and so our line is a diagonal slant that goes back towards Glinda. A and good are both working here as adjectives describing witch. Glinda is witch. What kind of witch is she? A and good. So each one has its own separate line as a describer. Add more description. Poor Dorothy is a frustrated traveler. Dorothy is traveler, right? So Dorothy and is, subject verb. Travelers are subject complement because it renames Dorothy. It's a predicate noun. What type of Dorothy right now is poor? And she is a frustrated traveler. I'm going to keep moving. Sorry for the interruption on our speakers. But this is what it would look like, right? So if we're just adding more description, we're always making sure that our vertical lines are touching the part of the horizontal line next to the word it's describing. So poor, as we can see, is shooting right off of Dorothy on a diagonal. And a and frustrated are clearly under traveler because those words are both describing traveler. Other linking verbs. The witch of the west smells surprisingly well. The witch of the west smells surprisingly well. So witch is our subject, smells is our verb, well is our subject predicate adjective, right? So well is describing the witch's smell. The describes witch, and of the west also describes witch. Surprisingly describes well. And then we have that because it's the witch of the west. The is a article that refers back to west. This is a little bit more complicated, so if you're not really getting this, if you got the first part but you're not really sure about this, that's okay, right? So I want to make sure that we start off small. We'll keep building upon this, but I just wanted to show you some things that we can look ahead to. So you try. So I asked the class to fill in the diagram provided to fill in the sentence. We did go through these in class. So what I'm going to do for you guys is I'm going to type the answers in here to make sure that you understand them as well. Okay? So please bear with me as I do that right now. So let's insert a text box. There we go. Right here. Okay, so our basic subject. So our basic subject of this sentence is man. Man. So man is the simple subject. Oh gosh. Sorry. Awkward. I don't want to insert a text box anytime. Okay, oh well. So the man. What does the man do? The man runs. What do we know about this man? We know that he is the man. We know that he is the man. And we know that he is the Tin Man. The Tin Man. So hopefully you can see this. Hopefully it's changing. So man runs, the and tin are both descriptors for man. Right? The next sentence, Dorothy falls down. Our subject is Dorothy. She's a proper noun, but she's our subject. So Dorothy, what does she do? Dorothy falls, right? That's her action. Dorothy falls. So falls is going to go here. Dorothy falls, and down describes the fall. Dorothy falls down. Dorothy falls down. So this is what this diagram would look like. Next one, Dorothy melts the wicked witch. Dorothy is our subject again. What does Dorothy do? Dorothy melts. That is our verb. Who does Dorothy melt? So we can see here that this bar shows a direct object. So Dorothy melts witch. The and wicked are both descriptors of witch. So that means they're going to be diagonal lines shooting off of witch. So the and wicked. Diagonal line shooting off of witch. Okay, good. Next, the Wizard of Oz is a fraud. Let's pop it here because it goes here. All right. So first, our subject is wizard, right? That's the main simple subject. Wizard is our main simple subject. What is our main verb? Is, right? That's that linking verb. Oops. Grab the wrong thing. Wizard is. Because we have a linking verb, there's going to be a subject complement. Wizard is fraud, right? So that's the main word that's being said here. So we need to make sure that we're not thinking about descriptors or adjectives. We're just trying to get to the meat of the sentence. Wizard is fraud. Then we can fill in all the extras. The is working here as an adjective. Of Oz is working here as a prepositional phrase. So our prepositions, again, always go on that bar, on that diagonal bar. And then Oz is the noun of that prepositional phrase. That bad boy on this horizontal line right here. So this is what the finished diagram would look like for the Wizard of Oz is a fraud. Oops, just kidding, it's not done yet. A is an article that is describing the fraud. He is a fraud. So A, it's gonna pop right over here. A, Wizard of Oz is a fraud. Toto is the best dog ever. So this bar actually shouldn't be here. Will probably help us. So Toto is the best dog ever. Our subject is Toto. Our verb is. Toto is, that linking verb. Toto is. What is the most basic subject complement? What can we replace with Toto? Toto is dog. Toto is dog. Then we have 3 other words for descriptors. Oops. Toto is the best dog ever. Woo. So the and best actually both modify dog. Shouldn't begin. So the and best are the modifiers for dog. Ever is an adverb. So our adverb is what modifies a verb. Our verb is ever. So Toto is the best dog ever. Toto is dog, ever referring back to is, and the and best referring to dog. Characters. I can't do that, sorry. Characters. Okay, so characters is our subject. So we're going to pop that here. Characters go. Go is our verb. So again, remember with our sentences, what we're first trying to do is find the meat. What's the most basic thing this sentence is saying? Who is doing it? What are they doing? Characters go. Characters go. Everything else is description. This line actually shouldn't be here. So let's get that out of the way. Characters in the Wizard of Oz. So in is going to go on our diagonal as a prepositional phrase. If you notice here in the corner, remember proper nouns go on all the same line. So a proper noun I see is the Wizard of Oz. It's proper because it's the title of a book and a movie. The Wizard of Oz is our proper noun. That's part of the prepositional phrase. So characters in the Wizard of Oz go. Another prepositional phrase is to the Emerald City. So we're going to put to here, as we do with all of our prepositions, go on the diagonal. And then Emerald City is another proper noun because it's a place in the book. So to Emerald City, again, proper nouns all go on the same line. And the is our descriptor that describes the Emerald City. It's an article referring back to Emerald City, okay? So hopefully this helps you understand what we were talking about in class. I went through one more part, but we're gonna start with that on Thursday. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this sharing of this PowerPoint. Now, what I asked you to do with the rest of class was to go to the diagram practice. So on the basics of diagramming, the diagram practice was a PDF. And let me just share my screen with you real quick so you can get a peek at that. And we can just quickly go over what I was expecting for that. So, oh wait, what's this? Oh, okay, so this is what I was reading the whole time. Oh, well, okay, so I asked you to go through the first page of this. So Jesus wept, the boy walked, the girl walked the dog, Sally threw the ball to her dog, and the happy students and their teachers are running the foot race. So I asked you to go through this to just do a basic diagramming. So I do ask that you try this. If you're having trouble, then reach out to me further and I can show you the answer key and we can talk about what you did well and what you still need to work on. But I hope that this helped. I hope this presentation, if you didn't understand what we did in class, will give a little bit more clarity. We are going to circle back through diagramming again, like I said, on Thursday. We're going to get into some independent and dependent clauses. And we're going to end our class with a quiz over the parts of speech. The parts of speech. So noun, verb, pronoun, adjective, adverb, interjection, conjunction, article. So you'll be seeing sentences and then labeling them based on what we talked about in class. So if you have any questions on that, reach out to me. But hopefully this lesson on diagramming sentences makes a little bit more sense now. Okay? Thank you.